Welcome to week 97, continuing our discussion of Chi Sau and Chi Sau concepts. This time we'll focus exclusively in on Dan Chi Sau. We've talked about this many moons ago earlier in the series, but now I'm going to look at really close detail of how the Wang Shen Leung Wing Chun Kuen Hok way of doing Dan Chi Sau may differ from the way that other families of Wing Chun practice the system. So if I invite Yung to come in. First and foremost, we want to make sure that we have a reasonable gap between us so that I can't quite reach my partner, my training partner can't quite reach me. There's a very good reason for this. It's got nothing to do with safety. It's all about being able to extend the technique to get the full range of motion. So Yung needs to be able to throw a full palm strike. I need to be able to throw a full punch if I'm doing this side and he's doing that side. The next thing we want to be aware of is the level of the technique. Too many people practice Chi Sau with their hands on a high angle like this. If you've got a high angle like this, Tan can't do what Tan means, which is spread. It's more like a clashing action. He's actually clashing with my force, so I can probably push it away. Remember, the definition of Tan is spread. So if he brings his hand down on a lower level, just like we do it in Siu Nim Tau, in line with the rear hand, now if he goes forward, he's actually spreading my force away from his center. Same for me. I don't want my Fuk Sau up here. I can't subdue or control him from up there. He has the advantage. But if I bring it down to a flatter position, I can redirect him. More friction means more control. So when Yung attacks me, in the form, as you all should remember, the palm strike is done to the face. At least in our family it is for sure. But within the drill we have to make a small compromise because there's no movement permitted in the first stage of the drill. So if Yung Chua was to always do his palm strike to the face, which would be the correct way to use it, it's going to be very hard for me to train my jam sau. So we make a small allowance. Instead of doing the attack here, he does it to the top of my chest area. That means it's still challenging, but it's not impossible to control. For me, when I throw my punch, there's no point for me punching up because I would be letting him do what he's trained in the form, which is when you're on the inside and something tries to hit you, hitting to the face will always beat it. So his attack goes mid-level. My attack also goes mid-level, which causes him to have to do a bong sau. The whole point of Dan Chi Sau is I want him to force me to respond, and I'm trying to force him to respond. We're not doing this in unison like listening to a music track and moving in coordinated movement. When he does the attack, he causes me to do something. When I do my attack, I cause him to do something. If his attack is weak and not centered, I should be able to feel that and hit. If my attack is weak and not centered, he should be able to feel that and attack. So my role is to force him off the center. His role is to force me out of the center so we get a more realistic energy. And eventually you can put a lot of force behind it because that way it becomes close to reality. Now we'll pause at this point because otherwise the clip will become too long and I'll lose your concentration. So we'll stop there and I'll continue on the next one and take that further. See you next week.